Hello and a very warm welcome to this short webinar on myths and misconceptions of the brain and learning. My name is Davinia, you can call me Dee for short, and I'll be facilitating today's webinar. So let me introduce myself. I've worked in education and learning and development my whole career, over 2 decades now, and I've always enjoyed creating impactful learning experiences, and I've always been fascinated by human behaviour and psychology. This has led me to create a range of courses, and my focus at the moment is tapping into the latest research around the brain as it relates to learning and utilising this within my practice and sharing it with others. We'll begin today's session with a story. So if you're sitting comfortably, let's begin. Once upon a time, there was a company that invested heavily in training to help its employees learn new skills and stay competitive in the market. However, despite the company's best efforts, many employees found the training to be dry and unengaging, and their performance did not improve as much as the company had hoped. The company's HR manager, Maya, was puzzled by this and decided to investigate. She discovered that many of her trainers at the company were perpetuating myths and misconceptions about the brain and learning, and these were hindering the effectiveness of the training programs. For example, some trainers believed that intelligence was fixed and could not be improved through training, while others believed that people had a preferred learning style, such as visual or auditory, and that training should be tailored to that style. Maya realised that these myths and misconceptions were not only untrue, but were also preventing the employees from reaching their full potential. She knew she had to do something and started with educating her team of trainers about these myths and misconceptions, which led to them wanting to find out more about neuroscience and learning. The team soon concluded that the training programs needed to be overhauled to incorporate the latest research on the brain and learning. With the help of a team of experts, they redesigned the training programs to focus on engagement and interactivity. They introduced a variety of learning activities that supported retention and application of new skills and knowledge, and also kept the employees engaged and actively involved in the learning process. They also explored the importance of metacognition, or thinking about your own thinking, which can help employees become more aware of their own learning progress and make more intentional decisions about how to learn. The company's investment in training paid off, and the employees were better equipped to meet the challenges of a constantly changing business landscape. Maya learned that by dispelling the myths and misconceptions about the brain and learning, and also incorporating the latest research into the training programs, she could help the employees reach their full potential and help the company reach its goals and stay competitive in the market. I feel that throughout my career, I've been all 3 of the main actors in our story today. I've been the newly graduated teacher trainer with a handful of myths and misconceptions about the brain and learning. I've been the training manager seeking to improve outcomes for my organisation, and now as a consultant working with organisations to enhance their learning offerings and achieve measurable returns on their investment. And I know that many of you are seasoned educators, L&D professionals with a wealth of knowledge and a real passion for your profession and desire to continue your professional development. You may find that you're aware of all, some, or none of the myths and misconceptions that we cover today. But in the least, I hope this session serves as a refresher, but ideally as a spark that inspires you to continue exploring other myths and misconceptions and the wider world of learning. So within this short session, we will explore common myths and misconceptions about the brain and learning, with the intent of encouraging you to look at how these myths and misconceptions potentially impact the training, teaching, or the studying that you do. We'll seek to understand the potential harm myths and misconceptions can create within our practice and the benefits of dispelling these myths. Finally, we'll touch on some ways that you can stay up to date with the latest neuroscience research and utilise this within your practice. So we'll start with a quick introductory quiz to get us thinking about the brain and learning. Please feel free to pop your answers into the chat, to drop them on a piece of paper, or to shout them out at your laptop. So we'll start with question 1. Listening to classical music can make you smarter, also known as the Mozart effect. This is in fact false. While listening to music can have cognitive benefits, there's no evidence that classical music in particular makes you smarter. Question 2. Learning a new language is easier for children than adults because their brains are more malleable. This one is also false. While children's brains are indeed more malleable than adults, adults can still learn new languages with practice and dedication. Question 3. Brain games can improve your overall cognitive abilities. So we're talking about those apps that you can get on your phone to practice mini games. And this one is also false. While brain games can improve specific cognitive abilities, such as working memory or attention, there is little evidence to suggest that they improve overall cognitive abilities or even prevent cognitive decline. But they are still fun. Question 4. Struggling to learn new things can actually improve brain function. This one is true. So challenging the brain by struggling to learn new things can actually improve brain function by promoting the growth of new neural connections and improving cognitive flexibility. Many thanks for taking part in the quiz. Let's continue with our story and this time approach it from a slightly different angle. So let's take a look at some data around training. The UK spends an estimated £42 billion each year on employee training, but research shows that much of this investment is wasted due to ineffective training methods. According to a survey conducted by the Association for Talent Development, ATD, 88% of employers believe that investing in employee development leads to improved job satisfaction and employee retention. However, the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development, the CIPD, they found that only 25% of UK employers evaluate the impact of their training programmes, and only 8% of employers measure the return on investment. It worries me when I join a training project and there isn't a set of measures that will be used to evaluate the training or inform the learning outcomes, the content or the approach. And it's this kind of thing that contributes to this waste within training. A survey by Training Journal found that 85% of UK workers believe that the training they receive is not effective, and 48% say that they do not apply what they learn in training to their work. I'm not suggesting that it's myths and misconceptions that are the sole cause for wastage in training, There are a number of factors, and myths and misconceptions are a contributor, and we can pull on this thread of myths and misconceptions to lead us to the fact that one way to optimise learning is to understand how the brain naturally learns and leverage this knowledge to create interactive, engaging content that learners can apply. So let's take a look at some of these myths and misconceptions. The left brain, right brain concept is a popular belief that the brain's two hemispheres, the left and right, are responsible for different functions and that individuals can be either left-brained, logical and analytical, or right-brained, creative, intuitive, based on their dominant hemisphere. While it is true that different regions of the brain are responsible for different functions, such as language processing being primarily located in the left hemisphere, most complex tasks involve multiple regions of the brain working together in a coordinated manner. In fact, brain imaging studies have shown that the brain's hemispheres are highly interconnected and work together to perform most tasks. So while it is true that some individuals may have a natural inclination or preference for certain types of activities, such as analytical or creative tasks, this is not necessarily related to a dominant hemisphere of the brain. The idea that someone is exclusively left-brained or right-brained is oversimplified and not supported by scientific evidence. Let me know in the chat if you've ever completed a quiz online, perhaps to determine which is your dominant side. Yep, me too. The concept that people only use 10% of their brain is a common misconception that has been around for over a century. The suggestion is that the vast majority of our brain is unused and untapped potential, and that if we could unlock this unused portion of our brain, we would become superhuman or gain extraordinary abilities. However, this is entirely untrue. Modern neuroscience has shown us that no part of our brain is entirely inactive, and that every region of our brain has a specific function that contributes to our overall cognitive abilities. In fact, research has shown that even during rest, the brain is highly active and performing critical functions such as consolidating memories and processing sensory information. Also, many brain imaging studies have demonstrated that when people engage in cognitive tasks, multiple regions of the brain are activated simultaneously, suggesting that there is no unused portion of the brain. So, the myth that people use only 10% of their brain is entirely false. Our brains are highly complex and sophisticated organs that are active and engaged even when we're not consciously aware of it. The misconception that people have different learning styles that determines how they learn best is a widespread belief, but one that is not supported by empirical evidence. The idea behind this myth is that people have different cognitive preferences for receiving and processing information, and that these preferences can be categorized into distinct learning styles. For example, some people might be visual learners, while others might be auditory or kinesthetic learners. While it is true that people may have an individual preference for how they prefer to receive information, there is little evidence to suggest that these preferences translate into significant differences in learning outcomes. A large body of research has shown that there is no evidence to support the idea that tailoring instruction to a particular learning style improves learning outcomes. In fact, many studies have shown that the most effective instructional strategies are those that are tailored to the content being taught, rather than the supposed learning style of the student. Research has also shown that people tend to learn best when they receive information in multiple modalities. For example, incorporating both visual aids and spoken instructions can enhance learning outcomes for students regardless of their supposed learning styles. The misconception that memory works like a video recorder, accurately storing and retrieving information, is not entirely accurate. While it is true that we rely on our memory to store and retrieve information, our memory is not like a video recorder that records and plays back information with perfect accuracy. In reality, memory is a complex and dynamic process that is influenced by a variety of factors, including our attention, motivation, emotional state, and prior experiences. When we encode information into our memory, we are not simply making an exact copy of the information, but rather we are constructing a representation of the information based on our own experiences and interpretations. This means that our memories are inherently subjective and can be influenced by our own biases and perspectives. Myths and misconceptions about the brain in learning can be harmful for several reasons. They can lead to ineffective learning strategies. If people believe in a learning myth or misconception, they may use ineffective learning strategies that do not align to what we know about how the brain works. This can result in wasted time and effort and hinder their ability to learn effectively. They can perpetuate false beliefs. When people believe in a myth or misconception, they may share that information with others, perpetuating false beliefs and leading to a misunderstanding of the way the brain and learning actually work. They can lead to negative self-beliefs. If people believe that they are born with a set amount of intelligence or that they are only using a small portion of their brain, they may develop negative self-beliefs that can hinder their motivation to learn and their ability to reach their potential. They can lead to harmful practices. Beliefs such as the idea that the brain is a static organ that cannot change may discourage people from engaging in practices that promote brain health, such as exercise, healthy eating, and social interaction. Understanding the brain can help us identify effective teaching strategies. Research has shown that different learning experience can affect the brain in different ways, and that different teaching strategies can activate different regions of the brain. By understanding how the brain processes and retains information, we can develop teaching methods that are more effective at promoting learning and retention. Understanding the brain can help us identify and address learning difficulties. Some learning difficulties may be related to specific areas of the brain, and understanding how these areas function can help us develop targeted interventions to help people with learning difficulties. Understanding the brain can help us promote lifelong learning. By understanding how the brain changes and adapts in response to learning and experience, we can develop strategies to promote lifelong learning and personal growth, which can have significant benefits for individuals and society as a whole. Understanding how the brain processes and responds to stress and other factors can help us develop strategies to promote mental health and well-being, both in the classroom, the training room, the workplace, and everyday life. There are several ways to arm ourselves with proper information about the brain and learning. One of the best ways to stay informed about the latest research on the brain and learning is to read peer-reviewed journals, attend conferences, and engage with experts in the field. This will allow you to stay current with the latest research and developments in the field. There are many sources of information on the brain and learning, but not all sources are reliable. To arm yourself with proper information, consult reputable sources, such as scientific journals, textbooks, and websites run by reputable organisations or experts. When you hear a claim about the brain or learning, challenge assumptions and seek evidence to support or refute the claim. Don't accept claims at face value and seek multiple sources of evidence before forming an opinion. Collaborating with other educators, researchers, and experts can be a great way to share ideas, learn from one another, and stay informed about the latest research and developments. Engaging in ongoing professional development can be a great way to stay informed about the latest research and developments in the field of education and to develop new skills and strategies for supporting learners. By following these strategies, you can arm yourself with evidence-based information about the brain and learning and better serve yourself and your learners. If you're struggling to find time to access and read peer-reviewed journals or attend lectures, then I'd like to invite you to explore this topic further through one of our courses, Neurons to Knowledge, Unlocking the Power of Neuroscience for Learning. It's currently available as an e-learning package, a virtual session, and I highly recommend the face-to-face workshop, which you can book onto as an individual, a group, or have the workshop delivered on site. You can find out more about these courses by scanning the QR code or using the link in the chat. You can also go to onyxld.com to look at our workshops and e-learning. So just to say a very big thank you for your time and attention today. I hope you found it useful and that it has sparked some curiosity within you about the brain and learning. Let me know your thoughts. Please scan the QR code to provide some feedback on today's webinar or use the link in the chat. Take care all and thanks again.